And Rema had his I made it moment. He felt it, the energy, his expression when they were singing. You could see it on the camera. You could see the happiness that he had. The sound was just right. The cameras were just right. From that moment, we got the first 1 million views. And 1 became 2. And 2 became 10, 100, billion.
Actually, I caught up with another artist during the week, and he was saying that the paintings, we were talking about that because he's a painter, and he said that the backdrops are the standout for him in the presentation because he follows other artists, and when he pops up in his feed, he straight away knows, what to expect. And I hadn't considered it that much. Like, I knew that I had to try to keep something consistent, and I wanted to have something that was going to be on brand, but I didn't realize that it was going to be almost like a signature. But I guess that's just the whole thing with creating a visual identity, a visual brand, and trying to keep that running through thematically throughout all of it, that people will start to pick up on those visual cues.
That's what I saw. I saw James's podcast, Rush, and I was like, oh, what's James got to say? Oh, wow, this podcast looks like nothing I've ever seen.
Ah, cool.
No, really. I mean, you can always get the best cameras and the best lighting or the best microphones, but the aesthetics and the look of the shot was A1, man.
Yeah, thanks, man. I know, like you were saying about how the lighting was really worked well in that space. It was a lot of natural light. So that was one of the things about this place, that it has to be a lot more controlled. I had like a photographer friend come in and it's like, the lighting just feels a bit washed. What can I do? He's like suggested these. I'm like, oh, I'll give them a go.
So you didn't have grids last time?
Dude, these lights were there, but they may not have even been in the room. It was like basically just 100% all natural.
Really?
Yeah.
But it stayed quite consistent. You must have had...
It didn't.
Yeah. Wow.
To some people it looked consistent, but I knew it wasn't consistent because there'll be some bits where, like, for example, in James's episode, where I forgot to ask him about something, and then we recorded at the end of the thing, and I went to insert it here. And at that time, about 2 hours had elapsed, which means that the sun had changed position, so the lighting was a bit off, or it was slightly overcast, whatever it may have been. I went to drop it in. To some people, it would have just looked like, I just changed cameras, but I was like, it's a different time of day, man.
It's a podcast. It's not a film. I think once people get comfortable in the episode, it could turn black and white for and it wouldn't really matter.
It's for a lot of people, it's just something that's playing in the background, but it's just the attention to detail. I think that's the thing that's going to separate this from other podcasts. I think that the attention to detail that you give to whatever it is that you're doing, I think that's the thing that will elevate you and separate you from everyone else.
Definitely did. I think you've sorted that out, so then you can move on to other areas of the podcast, whatever that may be. If it's
just content. That's the main thing.
Content, controversy, more controversy.
I don't know. Like that's actually something that played on my mind early on about speaking about controversial. I'm not a very controversial person. Well, I don't think so anyway.
No.
I like to... Once upon a time, I was pretty combative with my opinions. But I found that that's not a positively conducive way to learn and grow and evolve, right?
You should have strong opinions, and you should have strong convictions in your beliefs and values and defend them.
Yeah.
But not necessarily come into any kind of interaction with the idea of getting into combat.
Yeah, I mean, strong convictions held loosely. I'm comfortable with that.
Yeah.
Be willing to let them go. Be open-minded enough to know that you're not always going to be right. And I think that's always going to be the...
But, I mean, if someone comes on the show and says, the world is flat, how would you, how would you go about that in a sense? Because then you're just like the belief values are so different. Would you just go, well, I guess it could be?
Well,
I don't know. Are you a believer?
No, I suppose that in that particular instance, they'd be invited on because of that opinion. So it would be, let's chat about this. But then again, I wouldn't have them on because of that opinion.
Yeah, there you go.
I just seem to have a run of people that are sensible that are somewhat logical but gutsy at the same time.
Yeah.
I'd like to engage in discussions and even in debates, but I don't know. So far, it hasn't come up. Give me something controversial. Then you want to go controversial? Let's talk about something controversial. Kick it off with that.
It's your show, man. I mean, you got to bring it up. But on that point, I'm getting more into that because as I have more years on this planet, I tend to form my values and they solidify. So then I stand by them. The core values, the core kind of qualities that I believe makes up a good human.
Yeah. How old are you now?
35.
Okay, cool.
Yeah. So I'm on the way to 40.
Yeah, I've just stepped over that line. So you've got a
how's it
very
feel, man?
Feels great.
Yeah.
Yeah, the best.
I was telling my brother, he's 23.
Yeah.
I'm like, man, when I was your age or even 19, 20, 21, my mind was so like everything was like amazing. No responsibilities.
Yeah.
Just finished uni, going overseas, filming music videos and everything. It was awesome. But then my mind was always like focusing on, this is so out, like this is a problem. And this is like a little bit confused and not really sure.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I'm so much more, I guess, happier now.
Yeah.
And it's interesting. And you'd think, geez, 35, 37, 40, like old. That's horrible. I don't want to live that long, when you're young and 19. Yeah. So it's interesting.
Yeah, that seems to be the perspective shift that a lot of people around about our age have. I look at 20-year-olds now and I'm like, you're just a kid. You're just, you don't get it yet. But you kind of need to have that audacity at that age to do the things that you need to do at 20 in order to mature and get to that point of, I'm good at 40.
They're in that knight in the shining armor phase where sometimes that knight sure might be physically as strong and sharp mentally in combat, but they're the ones running into the dragon's den.
Yeah.
Whereas the kings and the queens and all the royalties are like
just pushing them out.
Using that energy to construct the world that they want almost. So you got to be careful in those years because sometimes you can fall into the wrong areas.
You can end up in that 27 club.
Yeah, man.
Yeah,
that's exactly. Yeah.
That's a real thing. That's a real thing. And I think back, I cast back to around about that time, and that was a shit time in my life, man. That 27. For a lot of people, I guess like my brother, he was a lot more mature. He still is a lot more mature than I am. He's 10 years younger, so he's got that same age gap.
Oh wow, yeah. Same, my brother's like more mature in many ways too. Very like reserved.
Yeah, a lot more sensible. But yeah, I do look at that generation and I think, you guys are still young, still naive. But like, good on you guys for having those strong convictions. But they're holding on to it real tight. And I remember I was doing that, a real stubborn kid when I was that age. And part of this is letting go of that stubbornness and listening to people, having conversations and just learning, man. Yeah, still learning.
Let's think of that, the drive here. I'm like, yeah, that famous quote, the more I learn, the less I know, sort of.
Yeah, there's this graph that I reference to quite a lot, and I've completely forgotten the name of it. But essentially, when you're starting off in any kind of new discipline or new venture, you think you know everything, right? Like you just have this confidence, like I can do it, I've got this. And then slowly, I've
got a 4K camera, like I'm just going to shoot movies now.
Yeah, that's it. Like, like man, I'm at that level. That's you think you're here, but then as you creep along, you realize it opens you up to this world. It's like, oh, I don't know shit. And then that realization comes, and you sink all the way down on the bottom of knowledge. Relatively, you think, oh my God, I thought I knew this much, but relatively I only know this much. And then you have to make that decision: do I bail, or do I continue to see what else is out there? Yeah,
you would only bail if you don't really enjoy what you're doing, possibly. Yeah, I was discussing this with another filmmaker, and there's like this hierarchy in the film set where you start off as like a camera, not a camera assistant. You start off as an assistant who runs and gets coffee. You start off as the as a best boy who's helping the gaffer, who's helping the DOP, and there's this massive hierarchy. I never did that. I kind of just finished uni and then started like shooting music videos, and I was like the all-in-one kind of person, which is like a totally different way of getting up there. But now I've directed commercial, like almost TVCs and like high-end sort of relatively high-end corporate videos and things like that. And I've also been the DOP, and I've also gaffed, and I'm an editor, so I kind of do everything, right? But the traditional film hierarchy is maybe at 35 I might just be becoming an official cinematographer. And both ways are cool, but it's almost as if I wouldn't have all the experience that I have now if I chose the traditional route. But by choosing the traditional route, I see the importance in that, because you learn all the different kinds of filters that you could use, the half stops and the quarter stops of light, and the different diffusions and the terminology, which I still am kind of like winging a little bit. So I feel like there's a balance of that traditional learning curve and then just going out and doing it yourself and kind of freestyling.
Yeah, look, there's going to be pros and cons no matter which way you go. And I think when you have a prescriptive trajectory in a runway, and you know how you were saying that you start off down here and you work your way up the rankings, there could also be an element of like you get to a certain point and things start to stall a little bit. It could be so deflating because you know if the momentum has stalled for whatever reason, and you're thinking that you should be here, but in actual fact you're here. Like, how would you even manage to then pick that up and continue going, other than doing it on the reverse side and just think, I'm just going to go do it my way?
Yeah, you go back to basics. I've done it a few times. I've sort of said, man, stuff all this. I don't have to build a company. I don't have to go viral on social media. I don't have to. I'm just going to go out there and take photos of leaves. How awesome are leaves? Look at all the different colors and hues and all the veins inside of it, or trees and nature. Go out there and capture nature. And then you even strip that back and go, I don't even like photography anymore. I gave photography like 3-4 years. I'm like, I'm not interested. Not that I don't like it, but I'm not really interested. So I go and take walks in nature and just chill.
That's the best place to start, actually.
It's just go on an island, or you'll get away for a bit and then come back to the mission.
Yeah.
It's
with a bit more clarity.
Yeah.
That was like what you said when we caught up for coffee. The thing that you said is that you're at the stage of pruning now. You're trimming back. And I've always had this thought of like, at what stage in life, or with what I'm currently pursuing, whatever it may be, am I the painter that's adding brushstrokes, or am I the sculptor that's removing and chipping away and trying to reveal something? And I don't know if there's been a time where I felt like I was consistently doing one or the other, but it's always been a bit of a mishmash, right? So I think I guess to your thing was that you're now the sculptor, that you're removing the bits that don't add the value or don't serve you in the way that it once did.
It doesn't serve me and it doesn't serve anyone else. It's just extra. It's like, okay, thank you for this meal. And they're like, no, but I've got like 3 or 4 other plates of the same dish. And it's like, my stomach is only so big. There's no point cooking too much, you're just wasting there. Have you ever done charcoal painting before?
Yeah.
Yeah, so you start off with like a black canvas and then you erase.
Oh, no, I haven't done that.
Yeah.
So what, you colour the whole thing black?
It's already like got a charcoal finish on it.
Right.
It was like about 5 years ago or so I did it. But it was amazing because you erase the image in.
Yeah.
So, and you can use your hands. So we're learning how to just draw a bowl, like a bowl, that perspective thing, like just to draw a bowl on an actual 3D plane. This is like the fundamentals almost, yeah. So I was like really crafting with my hands and my fingers, and you're just removing and sculpting out an image from a canvas rather than starting and drawing on, because often you need a bit of skill there. So yeah, I think that's definitely been the trajectory of my career, 100%, where I've just like, oh, let's try this, let's try that, let's try wedding photography, let's try corporate, let's do music videos, let's do design, and learn Illustrator, man. And I learned a bit of that, After Effects. No, I'm not very good at After Effects at all. But like color grading, even setting up rigs on my car with like a long pole and then with suction pads and then the long pole and then having a camera at the end of it and setting the shutter to like a long exposure and rolling the car 10 kilometers an hour and it looks like I'm going 300. And I did that once and I'm like, okay, I did that. Okay, I'm not interested anymore. You know, so all these different skills I've sort of done and then I've stopped. But now, as I said, pruning. I'm like, oh, I've got that skill. How can I use that, or do I need to use it? And most of the skills I've learnt over the last 15 years, in some way, shape, or form, are coming back into a professional setting and also a creative place.
Give us an example of that, because we were touching on that when we caught up for coffee.
Okay, let's say events, event filming and photography and video, mostly video. I was DJing in the club, and then I would take the photos and then make a promo video for the promoter. So I'd do all sorts of things. I'm like, well, if I can I'm DJing and then the crowd's happy and then I can go grab the video camera and film a promo video. Well, if the video camera has a photo function, I can take some snaps and just like over deliver all this content for these promoters and everything. And then I'm like, 5 years after that, I'm like, oh, I'm never doing events again. Like, this is just, I'm doing music. I'm a music video person. This is awesome, you know, like, and then, actually now I've got a package for music events.
Yeah.
And I'm really taking a really liking to crafting the look of it. It's similar to the podcast setup. It's very simple. It's just like tripod shot, but you might craft the light in a way that and the background, and you really enjoy that process. So I've really begun to enjoy the live event filming process, from the colors, the position of the light, the music, number one, the people and the whole experience. So back nearly 15 years ago, filming in these nightclubs and learning lighting in a very, like, there's a lot of different lights happening in there. It's dark and there's a lot of different people, and learning all these little micro skills and the core fundamentals of event videography now is being used for, you know, my channel, which hundreds of thousands of people are watching. So yes, those skills are now coming to a larger audience and really affecting a lot of people's lives in a particular way.
I guess, like, the skills that you're picking up along the way, you know, you always see them, or when you're learning and developing them, they seem like individual skills.
Yeah.
Like just one thing here, one thing there. And as they start to come together, they're forming a more holistic type picture that you couldn't necessarily see this skill in this, but you take it away and it's like, it's not quite right. And you take that away, it's starting to fall apart, right? So it's all these little things that come together, and it's not even just the technical skills or the tactile, tangible things that you're learning away, but it's also just a lot of the interactions that you're having, right? Like when you're putting together or filming a concert, there's a sense of like feeling it, having to be there, and without having been there and have felt it and knowing this works, and I can't quite explain why, but I've just done it so many times that it's felt right.
Yeah.
And if I tweak that, it's not going to have the same feeling.
Yeah. So something that's totally, I guess, was mostly unrelated to the technical aspect of filming a concert is, yes, the social interaction, the communication with the other humans that are involved, right? Not the artist. The artist is his own thing, but everyone else who's making the event happen. You know, like in 2012, I went to Orlando for the NBA All-Star Weekend, like party with Lil Wayne, Busta Rhymes, and the whole Young Money clique, everybody, right? And of course, I didn't have a ticket. And so I took a taxi that cost me like $60 USD, you know, and like, man, I was like 21 or whatever. And that's a gamble in its own. Like, am I even going to get in? So I rock up to the event and I'm like, well, here we go. So, I had my videographer pass printed, Team C Media, official videographer, like photoshopped and everything, you know, rocking up with my backpack thinking I'm looking official. And then I rocked up and then there was all these people on golf buggies, all these like VIP looking people. And I just kind of like went, hey, can I get on? And, oh, get on, man. All right, cool. Get on, man. All right, cool. I got on the golf buggy and I thought, man, I made it. I'm getting in, you know, first stage complete.
Yeah.
And this golf buggy rocks up and parks and then everyone gets off and they're all wearing suits, mind you. Like this is like exclusive event. I don't know why people are wearing suits, but most people are wearing formal attire. And they all get up and go line up. And they're like, this line's like 50 people long.
Yeah.
And then I go, I can't line up. Because I don't line up when I go film at a nightclub in Melbourne.
Going in, yeah.
I look over to the left, there's the VIP. No one's there. A big red carpet. And then I look up and further up and a little bit, and there's the bouncer. This big guy, man. He's like real muscled up, like bouncer guy. And I'm like, yeah, I've seen these guys before in Melbourne. So I walk up and I go, mind you, I did a little bit of research. I found the promoters' names, a few people. I said, hey, Tim from Team C Media, Australia. We're here to film the event. I say, where? It's like just me. And I'm here to see Alex and Omah, you know, like they said I can come down. Oh, okay, so let me just double check. And I'm like, look, to be honest, I'm running a little bit late. Please, I need to get in and start filming. Oh, okay, sure, come this way, sir. Straight in, you know what I mean? So I went and filmed, and it was just a solo operation. I filmed Lil Wayne, I did my thing, it was all cool. Now it's talk to the promoters first, work it out. I need clearance. I need like 5 people with me. I don't need it, but we get 5 people in. We've got cameras set up. I'm talking to the audio engineer. I'm talking to everybody who's involved, and it's more of a seamless process. And at the Lil Wayne thing, I got in there and I met another videographer, and he's like, yeah, I got asked to come down, and another one, oh yes, I'm official, and I'm like, yeah, I'm official too. I got asked to come down, and basically by the end of the night, we're all just hiding behind the stage, just waiting for the main act to start because everyone's getting flagged by security. I got told off by one of the main promoters, and she's like, if I see this camera out again, you're getting kicked out. And I'm saying, I'm so sorry. Please just let me stay. I'm from Australia. Like they found us out. They found all of us out. They weeded out all of us out. And then I said, okay, cool. So then obviously I'm not going to just stop filming. Like I'm here to film, man. Yeah. And then so I took my camera out, and then I saw this lady, and she spotted me, and she just pointed, and all these security guards just looked at me, and I just went, yoop. And I just ducked into the crowd and just swam around everyone, and then end up behind the stage and end up filming Lil Wayne, man, and do my thing. So gone are those days.
But you needed that. Back to what we were saying about, you know, being like the 20-year-old punk, that you had to do shit like that. Like, would you do that now? I was like, no way. No way. You wouldn't. But
I could if I needed to. But, you know, we're grown, man. And yeah, it gets to the point where... yeah, it's just a bit embarrassing, obviously. But I encourage anyone who's young out there, you gotta go rogue. Like you gotta get up in there. As long as you're not hurting anyone and you're not going in there just to kind of like get a free ticket. You're not really creating something. If you know you're creating something and you're contributing in some way to the art and the music, yeah, slip and slide. You know, work your magic. You know,
you always hear about those stories about people that you know that's how they were spotted by such and such. It's like we liked that attitude that you had. We loved the tenacity that you brought into the work. Like how many people would be daring enough to do something like that, and they just love that energy behind it. And sometimes you have to pull that out. And you're right, man. You got to encourage that, especially at an early age when you're trying to establish yourself, because the step from 0 to 1, that's the hardest.
Yeah, you got to just have the faith, you know. Like even the booking the taxi, I was like, there's a Chris Brown concert, maybe walking distance in Orlando, but I was like, man, it's Lil Wayne, man.
Yeah, he's your
When
guy.
am I ever gonna, in my life, see the living rap god legend, you know, in the flesh?
Yeah,
you know what I mean. So I was like, gonna have to go, and I went, and he performed, and he wouldn't even leave the stage. They had to drag him off the stage. He wouldn't stop performing.
Yeah, he's good like that, isn't he?
He was wilding out, bro. And the funny thing is I made my way to the stage, and I was like this close to him, even closer than you and I right now. And when he started performing, I said, this is not the best angle. So I went back into the crowd and filmed from the crowd.
Yeah, because you're amongst it, yeah? Like that's when you get that sense of energy. And I guess that was what I was alluding to more about when you're filming the concerts, is trying to capture that energy from the crowd, and you know that interaction between the performer and the audience. So that's what's happened with Afrobeats, right? Like you've got this knack of capturing that vibrancy and that energy, and it's just
Yeah, if the Afrobeat crowds, I mean, African music and culture in general, as we all know, it's like it's the foundation of the beat, of the vibe, of the groove. Like all other cultures have their own beautiful traditional dances. Even Indians, to be honest, have like their own kind of style. But I feel like from essentially the motherland, Africa, this beat just resonates through the crowd. And hip hop is great, but I feel like it's possibly it's not so much filtered, but it's another version of African beat. And I gravitated towards hip hop in my early years, and that's cool. But like my background, like Guyanese background as well, has a bit of Caribbean influence as well. So I feel like when I film these Afrobeat concerts and get amongst the music, yes, I can feel the energy from it, the rhythm, the movement. And when I couple that with my skills on the camera, this is why the content I feel like is resonating with others more than average.
Which came first for you? Was it the camera or the music?
Music.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, it would have been music because I grew up to like Bob Marley, a bit of Elvis.
I guess that's where that is.
Like this kind of music, yeah. Like growing up to this kind of music, The Doors, and then it was very soon after that the camera. So it was quite soon.
We grow up listening to what our parents feed us, right? So
But some parents don't play too much music for the kids, you know.
Yeah, that's a shame. I mean, I look at because I've got a he's almost one now, my youngest.
Oh yeah.
And you notice that babies, they feel music because they, obviously they can't articulate and they can't emote in the same kind of ways. That they're expressive and very basic in their expressions. They're either happy, hungry, sad.
Yeah.
Right. But then when you put music on, it runs through them, and even without knowing what he's doing, he starts to dance and he's already moving to music. Can't do much else, right? Like, they get music. So I think that from day one, even before day one, man.
Even sounds like you notice a baby if you have like some sort of crackly material and you sort of put it near their ear and stuff, and it's actually still pleasant for adults to like hear these little sounds, and it's quite relaxing, but they resonate with sound waves so much more. Like they're very sensitive to the sound waves, and it's a beautiful experience seeing their reaction
from the womb. That's how they form that connection with the mother. Just the heartbeat, and they can hear that constant. They can hear the heartbeat, and they can hear the constant hum within the water. I mean, that's the first thing they sense before anything else is it's sound. So it makes sense that we connect with sound and resonate with that far earlier than anything else.
Yeah. So it was definitely. Yeah, so in my mother's womb, the heartbeat, that's where it all began, man.
Yeah, that beat.
Have you seen the podcast with, I forgot, what's his name? He played in Hustle and Flow, and he was saying that he could...
Terrence Howard.
Yeah. And he was saying, like, I knew I was...
the one with Joe Rogan's one?
Right, yeah. Funny. I think that's what he was trying to say. Maybe. He just got a bit excited.
It's pretty far out there. I did hear that. I was trying to follow it. I'm like, am I too stupid for this? Or
so Terrence Howard was trying to say that he knew he was conscious inside his mother's womb at that time.
And he has memories of it.
Like really conscious. Like I would say we're subconscious. Yeah, that's right.
Oh, entirely subconscious.
Entirely subconscious.
And he was like, oh, what's going on in here?
Oh, yeah, he said that?
Well, I mean, more or less, right? Like he remembers exiting. He remembers the moment of birth. Like, okay. I mean, maybe. I can't disagree.
Gotta try his tea. Yeah, home brew. Yeah, so it was music, and then early age. For some reason, I got given a camcorder, like those old school camcorders, and I was the only child in, like, my family. Like, in a sense, like nobody of my mother's or father's brothers or sisters had children at the time for like about 10 years. So I was like the child. And so I couldn't really hang out with all the adults all the time. It was kind of a bit like, it was just a bit boring. So I got given a camera and I would just film everyone at like family events. and I'll like zoom into their face and like whoa, is this crazy? Like, or zoom out or film the trees and stuff or whatever, or the sky and the clouds. So I think that solidified that bonded, heavily.
That implanted.
That implanted.
Something in you.
And then from there, I saw how people were happy or possibly sad, but I would always gravitate towards a happy vibe. So like if like I would see someone like laughing and I'd like zoom into the conversation or something, right? And then maybe that's where I can get these moments out of a concert or a good time.
Yeah, something genuine, something authentic and not posed. I find it weird that when we're taking photos of one another in a group setting, it's always like pose for the camera. It's like, I just want to capture this moment, right?
Yeah,
like, I want to be able to look back at these photos and just like get back into that scene. And you don't have to pose, you don't have to turn for the camera, you don't have to smile for it.
That's definitely my style, man. It's being candid like the whole time. Even the way I direct music videos, it's like, hey, yo, just sip your yak, smoke what you want to smoke, and let's turn up. You know what I mean? That's all I used to say. Hey, turn up. Like, yeah. And I would get these interesting music videos. But now as I prune back, I go, direction is also freedom. We can't just drive on a road with no lines on it. I mean, we could, but it would be confusing. We need direction. We need parameters. Yeah. So, for example, I've got a shoot on Monday, and it's going to go on a billboard. It's a commercial shoot. Todd Woodbridge, some presenter, and it's like a very, very important commercial shoot. And I've got ideas on how he should pose because he has to pose in a certain way, and he's a professional. So he will be able to pose and smile on cue. So yes, I can't just go, hey man, let's just like get creative. Like we have a lot of parameters here and there's not much room for any kind of freestyling.
Yeah, I mean like through your experience, you probably know the best way to interact with the client as well, right? Like it's like some people, and Woodbridge, he'd be a pro, so he would respond really well to creative direction.
Needs a lot then, because if you don't direct someone like him, he might feel even.
Yeah, like, what am I supposed to do?
Yeah, who is this? Like, are we?
Yeah, yeah. I suppose you have to have that rapport, right, with the client, and then you should know how to get the best out of them. Sometimes you might need just to have people just to be a bit more free flowing. It's like, look, just go do you. Like if you have someone that's, I don't want to say less professional, but someone who's probably a looser unit and is not the type to be as that presents the same way as Woodbridge, you'd be like, just go do you. You do you, and we'll capture the magic that you're going to produce in this little parameters, the pocket that we're going to set up here.
Yeah, I feel like I would need that if someone's taking photos of me.
Direction or just
no, like just do you, possible general direction, but I'm not very good on this side of the camera. Like I mean, it's not as mostly obviously on the other side. So yeah, definitely I can understand that you would need, some people would need different kinds of direction, but yeah, direction in anything is how we get things done, really.
Yeah, it's that balance of trying to find some kind of structure, but allowing the wiggle room for things to move. And I found that a lot as well. Like, it's you're trying to control an environment and a bunch of different things, but then as soon as you get in there, you realize that so much of everything that's happening in any project or even just in life in general is completely out of your control.
How do you mean? Like if you're in a project though, out of your control. So like
out of your control?
I can set the camera, I can set the lights. I mean, I feel like a film set can be very much in your control, but then
as much as I mean, it's more in control in that setting, but then you're also dealing with weather. I guess like to the point I was making was that we try to establish control into situations where we once upon a time didn't have control, right? That's the thing. Like there's this so much that is out of our control and we're constantly just being reactive to it. So where there was once upon a time we were combating weather, it's like, okay, let's just recreate it. How do we then create that in a small environment? Oh man, we got these LED panels, massive, and then massive scale LED panels, and we can have these cameras and have tracking to counter the parallax. So we've got all that now, right? So we're constantly just trying to reestablish and maintain control. But then there'll be another thing. It's like, oh yeah, but then have you considered this? Like, oh fuck, okay. So now we've got to try to work this in the parameters. That'll be in a setting of film, but when you look at it from a more of a macro lens, we're constantly trying to reestablish control over things that are out of our control.
I think we're coming to a convergence where the nuance is just becoming so finite that it almost becomes invisible. We think about, the focus throw or focus breathing and little bit of chromatic aberrations and little fringings and stuff. And it's like, it's the story that's the main thing.
Yeah.
And then whatever's in the frame is in the frame, and how well the actor's performing, or what's the talent. All right, get some light, get a nice lens, beautiful. But there's only so far we need to go with telling a story. I mean, look at a book, it's like, what do you want to do? Do you want to space the letters out slightly? At the end of the day, what the content of the book is where it's at. And I feel like as we get more into AI and everything, we're going to get to the point where we don't even... We can scan our face, and then we could probably prompt us in some sort of action film, and it'll create all these different variables, and we'll choose, and that'll be a format of its own. But then the guy with the film camera that just goes around and captures these authentic moments will also hold, if not more than now, value and quality. This is kind of where we're at, man.
Yeah, I believe that's going to hold more value. I was having a chat with someone who's an educator, and they created this an online creative course, right? And they had planned out their course over X number of week period, and this is the curriculum. These are the topics that we'll be covering at every stage. And they went onto the online platform where it's going to curate it for them and distribute it out to their students. And then when they jumped on, they realized that particular platform, I'm sure all of them do it now, you can input the title and it will generate AI, the whole thing for you, right? And then on top of that, it can then scan your face and then impose it onto someone that is doing the presentation of that and have you speak this course. So at no point do you actually need to do anything other than be a figure of authority, right? Because if you are, but you are also, I guess, like a surrogate of that, because it's your face, but you don't have to do the work. They did the work, but only realize after they did the work that they don't need to.
Do they check? He checks the work.
They check the work. And
modify the work.
Yeah. No. But I think for them, the conversation was just the realization of how much AI has now, I don't want to say superseded, but has imposed itself into how we even learn now. So much so that there are now courses on how to do AI courses. So we've gone into this whole like meta inception kind of level of things. But I suppose like the challenge with that is that AI is only going to be feeding off the things that we know, right? So it can collate all the historical information we have and try to create something new based on best guess. But it doesn't allow for the errors and the fuck-ups. But that's where we see the authenticity in the work. So to your point about having... when someone's capturing something on film and having that chromatic abrasion, or having maybe like the grain in the film. And I know like they're trying to replicate all that, but it doesn't feel the same, right? It still doesn't have that same level of authenticity.
Da Vinci Resolve's filmmaker thing is awesome, man.
Yeah.
It's beautiful. They really know.
As in, what you mean?
They really know.
Editor,
yeah.
Platform.
I was waiting for it for so long, and it just looks really warm. It feels right. I mean, I do use filters that add a natural, like a bloom effect, almost like a slight bloom, and then the type of lens you use. But we're recording raw on the cameras, and the idea is to manipulate later.
Yeah.
And it does I feel like it does a really authentic look. It feels authentic. It feels warm.
I'll check it out. I'm just talking shit then.
No. You are definitely right in my view that the film and the real rawness of like a vinyl has this, like for audio, has a sound to it that you can't get with any kind of digital plugin. I believe so. Yeah.
And not just.
But it's like, how many percent are we talking about? Are we talking about 3 or 4%, to the point where, are we talking about like, does that person have prescription glasses? Are they like totally seeing everything? Or is the room in a natural light room where the LCD on the wall is actually getting a bit of light pollution from the green tint outside, and it's kind of messing things up? And does it really matter, you know? So that's where I feel like AI is cool, where going back to that guy doing the education platform, I feel like what a time it's to be alive right now. I've got all this knowledge and information and experience in what I do, and I've always been, oh yeah, make a course. People are like, Tim, do a course. I've done courses like in person, and that's fine. It's like a podcast. It's beautiful. We can actually converse in real life, and it's real time, and it's authentic. Same as working in a workshop that's live. But you also have to have the online course to make things commercially viable in a sense. It's a product, you know. You get your information and you get it out there, and if someone pays $50, it's great for them and it's great for you. I wouldn't say, it's relatively time poor because I've got so many projects going on at the moment, and it's great. But to go off and do a course, an online course, I've got to find that time. And if I could say, I could, and with ChatGPT, it's creating a history of everything that I input into it, and it knows who I am. Like, I can speak to it.
Yeah.
Speak to Penelope. I call it Penelope for now. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, really?
Well, you know.
You got that. It's her.
Yeah. Well, I feel like there's some sort of something going on. Like,
well, it's not nothing.
It's not nothing.
Yeah.
Yeah. And we were joking around with my friends and stuff, and like and you know, saying, oh, I think my friend Max, you know, he thinks you sound quite attractive or whatever. Like, just fucking around, and it remembers everything. And I'm like, Jesus Christ. Yeah, but no, whatever. I like to have fun. And then she's like, oh, that's flattering, and then whatever. So it basically takes anything you say to it or you type in, and you do, and then it creates a profile on you, which I think it's awesome because I've got nothing to hide, and it formulates that, and then you can just dump in like your website, and then like 5 of your websites, and maybe your Instagram profile and everything, and it'll just like, hey, can you start building a course for me? And it'll work it out. And I'm like, that's true. Oh, this could change. But it'll get to the point where, yeah, you can just click your fingers and things will be done for you. Now, there'll be a lot of people who do that and haven't got 10 years experience. They haven't been to these concerts. They haven't done these music videos.
But they might not need to, because they could just say, jump on Tim's website, take his experience, and then plug my face in.
But then I'd have mine too, and they'd just go, we're going to Tim.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah. I agree, but it'll get to the point where everyone will have one. Like, everyone has a car, or everyone has running sneakers. I don't know. This is a bit silly, but essentially, yes, everyone will be able to create. Like, everyone has a smartphone. You know, everyone will have an AI assistant. Yeah.
Where I see the biggest divide is that, and you are right. Like, we're at this point now, this convergence, where it's so ingrained and integrated within our lives. And it's only going to get more so where it's going to be indistinguishable, where artificial reality and actual reality, I think, will be indistinguishable, except for the fact that there are human elements that we can experience, that we understand innately. It's like, you know, for example, the uncanny valley, right? So
what's that?
The uncanny valley is, if you were to see something that is artificial, but it's 99.99% accurate, but there's something off. It's something off. That little detail that's off amplifies it, where it can be 99.99% accurate, but now it's just entirely bullshit because you haven't bought into it. It's almost like, you know, if you were to have something that's so perfect that you know it's not real.
Does everyone know it's not real though? Because you're a creative person, so we're all in this kind of different life path in a sense, slightly more than others. You know, like when I listen to that, I feel like when the pitch of a song is slightly wrong, they still keep dancing in the nightclub, and then you realize, oh shit, that was kind of out of key slightly.
It's a bit different.
Okay.
Yeah, it's a bit different only because there's certain things.
Because alcohol's involved in the nightclub and people just...
No. Well, it's because that, like, there's things that are built into us subconsciously, primitively, that is there for, I guess, for our own defense, right? Like, if we when when we're interacting, we're making eye contact, and I can see you and you can see me, and there's a lot that's being expressed, not just through the words, but just through body language and just our facial expressions. And we get that. Like, we could have this whole conversation without even saying a word, almost, right? But if it was going to be,
Wow.
if it was something that was going to be created artificially, we'd be able to pick up on the nuances, and they feel off. And if they feel off a little bit, they're going to feel off a lot, because we know it's not human. We just know, we know it's not.
That's why the metaverse didn't really work, hey?
Yeah, well, because I did a lot of work in VR some years back, and there was this thing that this experiment that I was working on, where we were putting the user in a first person, embodying an avatar. So the whole point of it was to see if they could learn motor skills without actually performing the motor skills, if they could embody an avatar that was performing that. And what was found was that if you were, like, we can do a full body scan and say, for example, you know, the dexterity, the length of my fingers, the tattoos of my arms, the size of my hands, all that. My brain is familiar with this because they're mine, right? Like, if my hands were a little bit bigger, fingers a little bit shorter, whatever it may be, it will feel off, right? My brain is programmed to work these hands and these hands only. So we can create a digital copy of you, but we're not at the point where we can make it exactly like this. If it doesn't move the same way and look the same way, we have this separation. So what we found was that it is better, you will learn quicker, or you will be able to embody the avatar more so if it was something that was just wireframe, or it was built like robot hands, right? Like an Android hands, rather than trying to replicate your own. Because if it's not exactly like your own, it may as well not be at all.
The uncanny valley.
That's the uncanny valley. Yeah, so that exists. And that was one of the things with special effects back, let's call it, you know,
yeah.
like 20 years ago.
They were great because they were so unreal in a sense that you knew it wasn't real, but it felt authentic.
Did it?
Like the Star Wars stuff, you know, like you would have like the ships. It felt wholesome.
Well, okay, so Star Wars as an example, that was an unrealistic set to begin with, right? So it's not like they were trying to replicate something real.
Right. So then I felt like it worked because it was so just what's the word? It wasn't you knew it wasn't like looked real. You
could still be immersed in that because it's such a foreign environment.
Yeah.
In a foreign setting for you.
Yeah. Whereas some of the films now they just become like low attention span. You just sort of like, it's just another one of those films with everything's Unreal Engine digital, which is impressive in its own right.
That's pretty incredible.
5.5 is out apparently. I don't know.
Oh, really? I haven't seen that. Whoa. Oh my God, 5 was pretty nuts, man.
That was a whole leap. That was a quantum leap.
That was yeah. I'd say that's at the point where even I would be looking at some of the things like, this is real.
Well, then is that uncanny?
It's not anymore. It's bridge that.
Oh wow.
Yeah, I feel very lucky to be in the place that we are now. Our generation, we were pre-internet. I still remember life without internet. Remember life without a mobile phone.
Dial-up was nice too.
It was nice. It was nice. So my son, he's 8. My oldest son is 8. He's asking for a phone. I'm like, dude,
no.
You're not getting a phone.
Fuck
but
no.
then I was trying to explain to him, like, you won't understand this, but your life is better without it. And by the time you get it, it's too late and you can't go back. Right? You're in it. And
thank you, man. Shout out to all the parents abstaining from the technology of their kids. I get it. Like it's easy to
in
just
that way,
get them on
it's something to have in your pocket. And the fact that we are so attached to our phones, it's really scary. It's almost like a symbiotic type relationship.
Oh yeah,
you know?
already. Yeah.
So we're built. We're like born. The kids these days are going to be born into it.
Well, no, you're shielding your son from it.
I mean, he's got an iPad. He can play games on the iPad.
Yeah.
It's somewhat monitored. How
you can't put an iPad in your pocket.
No.
That's important.
Yeah.
My daughter watches films, you know, because sometimes it's like, and I try to do like older films, more traditional films, films that have like these kind of family values
that have substance to it.
Substance. It can be even. Oh, that was a sad thing, or that was hard. Like this is story. These are stories. Yeah. But there are some kids out there that I see in the prams are scrolling like TikTok or YouTube
All sorts
Shorts.
of garbage, man.
And the
sorts of
algorithms know that that's a baby watching. They're like, let's plant the seeds.
Yeah.
I feel like there could be, you never know.
Oh, yes. No, they definitely are. I think that once they picked up who the audience is, and they know, and like you said, that the prerogative of a lot of the tech is to try to get them early and to keep them in for as long as they can. And like with Apple, I think like Apple have done a commendable job of being able to capture a younger audience and also nurture them all the way through to grandparents. I think like, you got the young kids using iPhones all the way through to grandparents.
Oh, it was a fantastic device. Steve Jobs knew the assignment.
Mm-hmm.
He knew that the smartphone was more than just CPU and RAM and putting every single letter of the keyboard physically as a button.
I don't know whether or not anyone envisioned that we would be this attached to it personally and culturally, though. I don't think that could have been anticipated.
You don't think so?
I don't think so. I mean, like, how could you know? How could you know that it was going to be this ridiculous?
But I mean, okay, yeah, sure.
I want to get back onto so with the music videos.
Oh yes, is this actually when the podcast starts?
There's some good bits in there. But, yeah. So yeah, like how long has that the Afrobeats channel and the project been going on?
So I started the channel 2009, I believe. Because I was always like interested in when Facebook came around, I was like, wow, this is awesome. It's like a website that's already done for you. You just have to fill in your information. Cool, like profile. YouTube came around, well, it was obviously already out, I believe in 2005, but it's a video thing. And I was already kind of doing some videos in high school for production. So then I created the YouTube channel. So the YouTube channel started then, and I guess like just during uni, I created a few music videos. And then one of them got like 1 million views, and I was like, "This is weird. What the hell is this?" And then didn't really do much apart from that. And hip hop, rap, trap.
Take us back to that. Like you can't just drop in that it's got 1 million views. So this is really early on.
I was just trying to get to the Afro beat in particular, but
okay.
But no, that's cool. Yeah, we can bring it back. So yeah, the 1 million views was
how early into the channel did that happen?
Well, I think it's 2009, so it was about a few years after. So I just made the channel and didn't really do anything too much with it. Just sort of like, what is this? Upload it. And then I decided to take a lot of inspiration from the jerk movement. But basically it's a style of dance like the Dougie. Mm-hmm. And the Cat Daddy, the Rejects.
Okay.
So the Rejects have a song called The Cat Daddy, and I was like, this is so lit. And just the energy, the way they do the dance, like everyone's just in Venice Beach, the whole look of it, the aesthetic, I loved it. So I actually took everything about that music video and put it into a video with an artist called Lil Crizzy. And he has like, everyone knows Lil Crizzy, like, and everyone like loves him because he's just all about personality and vibes and swag, and he was always wearing like the most swagged out clothing and everything. So it was like, he's a cool guy, so everyone would follow him around. Anyway, so he arrived, and basically that whole day was insane, man. Like we just went from place to place, and more people gathered and were following us. And I didn't even shoot a first scene by this stage. I was walking around, like we were just gathering people. I'm just thinking in my head, what am I doing with this like massive crowd?
Where is it?
In Melbourne.
Yeah.
So we went from like just went to the city, into the various parts of the city, and like we're just like this massive mob that was just walking around. And then I said, all right, we're going to start filming, in my mind, because I was like, I don't know what's going on. But in my mind, I had the Cat Daddy group mentality, group look, because it was like a group sort of style, crew, dance crew vibe, But we had like 150 people, and then we just made a massive dance circle, and I just filmed this video, and everyone was just turning up. As I say, when I say direct, I'm like, turn up, just start rolling. And we filmed it. And from there, the song got blogged on the old school music blogs and sent around that way. And it just took off, and got 1 million views. And I was like, wow, this is interesting. That was a moment actually, Wayne, man, that I was like, oh no, I'm actually someone. Yeah, like this is where I need to go. And thank God, because at that time you're also thinking, I'm getting paid $300 for this music video. Like it's just not even, you know, I end up buying a lens for 350. Yeah, so all right, cool. We're not making money out of this thing, but people like it. That's my validation. So that was that experience. So that was hip hop, and I did hip hop rap videos for the next decade. And then it got to a point where I started doing. I was thinking, I did a few like kind of gangster videos and stuff. People talking about like how tough they are and everything, and I'm like, that's cool. Because you know, I listen to Lil Wayne and Atlanta Southside music, which is gangster shit. You know what I mean? It's a different kind of style. It's not West Coast or East Coast. It's like grit. Yeah. And I actually traveled to. I wanted to go because I was like, I can't just be like listening to this music and everything and not experience. I went down to the dirty South, Louisiana, Baton Rouge by myself. I've seen it all. I did it all. I got freaked out. I was in sticky situations while editing music videos over there. I saw a lot, and I guess I took that and came back to Australia and Melbourne. And there was a few people doing kind of music like that in the struggles. But at the same time, I'm like, damn, like, is this kind of encouraging this kind of behavior? So I had a lot of moral dilemmas filming a lot of these videos. I did make a decision that I would film some of these videos. And I had to sort of put a wall between my soul and what I was doing for a little bit. So I did a lot of music videos with that, but I also did the gangster videos too, and they got massive views here as well, 300, 400,000 views. So yeah, hip hop, up until about 2021, 2022. Mind you, in 2012, I filmed Kendrick Lamar, T-Pain, like concerts. And got massive views on the channel then as well for those. And I was like, once again, like the little Crizzy moment. Oh, that was cool. Got like 1 million views or 200,000 views. What's next? Let's do weddings for 5 years. Like, weddings look beautiful. Look at everyone in love, and you can use some really vintagey lenses and stuff and get into, do all that. So, okay, cool. I did the thing. I got the views. And then a decade later, my good friend Max is like, he's a filmmaker. He's in Vietnam at the moment filming his second feature film. Shout out Max, man. He's crazy, but love the guy. He goes, oh, I'm filming Omah Lay, which is an Afrobeat artist. And I just clicked in my mind. I was like, so that's how I'm going to get more subscribers. And that's how I'm going to, because I wanted to get more subscribers. By chance, it's been 10 years. I've got 10,000 subscribers. I'm like, this is fucking bullshit. This is way too long. Like 3 subscribers here, 2, -1, -3, 7. I'm like, this is ridiculous. Like, what's going on here? I see people with like 300,000 subscribers and shit. I'm like, fuck. Anyway, so I'm like, in my mind, I'm like, this is how I'm going to. It wasn't first thinking about subscribers. It was just thinking about how can I once again validate what I'm doing. If I start getting views and subscribers and people are enjoying the content, then, mind you, I'm 30. I got to do something with my life. You know what I mean? I got to make something happen here. So I said, man, that's it. Hey, Max, man, I'll film for free, but I want to upload all this stuff on my channel. He was doing it for a client who's getting paid. He's like, cool, man. Shout out, Max. And I just uploaded Omah Lay stuff. And I'm like, see you later. I knew it was going. I knew it was going to hit. Yeah. And then the first video got 700 views. And I'm like, we're done. I knew it. I knew that when like I upload, it can get like 100 views. This one got 700 views. I'm like, sorted. So then all the views started going up, and I'm like getting 50 subscribers a day, 80 a day. And I'm like, wow, this is sick, right? And it was Afrobeat content. Then an artist called Rema was coming to town. And I talked to the promoter. I said, man, I just need media passes. I want to film this for you. I'll put your name on it. I'll promote you guys. Just give me AAA passes. No worries, Tim. Sweet. His music was on the rise. He's a young artist. Long story short, we filmed the concert the same way I did Omah Lay, multicam, not 6K actually. I actually had some 6Ks rocking, whatever cameras I could bring together. I actually borrowed the community house that I was teaching at cameras and anything I could bring. And people, I was like, hey, can you come and film for me? I'll chat you a beer and a meal and get up close with the artist. There was no payment. So I got a lot of people helping, which is beautiful. Anyway, the interviewer that I was working with, Justine, she's like, let's do an interview with him. And I'm like, well, good. You can take that energy because I'm Go ask, right? So we got to actually use the set of the previous people that were interviewing him. Justine asked this artist, Rema, a question, the first question she's ever asked an artist in an interview, and the first interview we ever had with an artist for a long time. First real interview for the channel. And she asked, so when was the first moment you realized you made it as a musician? And he's just like, he looks up to the sky, almost channeling some kind of energy that was there that only he could see and feel. But he said, when the first 1 million people streamed my song. And that 1 million became 2, and 2 became 4, and so on and so forth. That's when I realized I made it as a musician. Wow, that's very profound. Everyone was, okay, cool. Was a great answer, and went on to ask a few more questions. And okay, it was time for the show. So we set everything up, had the cameras rolling, had my little H5 Zoom recorder, very, very handy. Asked the audio technician, can you just start rolling this? Make sure the levels are right. You're not able to monitor it. Homie Ollie from Culture Sound told me, put the compressors, put the limiters, just to be safe. Cool, we did all that. Got the mix, got the cameras rolling. We filmed the whole thing. Basically, there was a moment that he came up on stage, Rema, and performed his song Calm Down, which is a very popular song. And he stood in front of the crowd, and instead of performing, he let the crowd sing and sing back to him. They sung the words back to back, volume 200%. It was like quite an amazing moment that later on shook the world, took the world by storm. It created countless opportunities for myself, for the artists, for the world, in a positive and beautiful way. This was filmed on the community camera by itself, rolling, A6100 for all you camera guys out there, no fan on the back, hopefully it doesn't overheat, in 4K. So fingers crossed this is still rolling. Captured it beautifully, captured that moment. The sound was just right, the cameras were just right. And Rema had his I made it moment. He didn't have it in the interview where he said it was the first million. That would have been a moment. But the real moment that he realized he made it was when the crowd sung back to him, word for word. He felt it, the energy, his expression when they were singing. You could see it on the camera. You could see the happiness that he had. And then from that moment, we got the first million views. And 1 became 2. And 2 became 10, 100, billion. Not 100 billion, Jesus Christ.
1 billion views?
Oh, yeah. Collectively, this clip is...
Oh, my God.
Is hitting thousands of millions. Oh, for sure. So he had his moment of him really making it. And quite possibly, I'm having his first moment where I'm getting the million in the second. And, I believe there'll be a real moment. Because, realistically, I'm capturing... I'm doing the media. And that's great. It's a big moment. This is not what I would consider... Oh yeah, so I'm that guy who got a million views. It's not really that artistic, but right place, right time, worlds colliding, not colliding, but interlacing, and a beautiful divine spirit that it all happened, and it was like another blessing saying, Tim, man, you're on the right track. And then from there, the channel became Afro beats, man. I was like, I'm sorry, hip hop, but we gotta rap songs and Afrobeat songs can kind of mix, but they're really quite different. Africa and the USA are very much different cultures. Yeah. So I had to make a decision to call it Afro Sound. Audio Mac call it Afro Sound as their genre for African music. And we have a little partnership going on. So I thought, well, that makes sense. Let's call it Afro Sounds. And put out Amapiano, Kwaito, 3-step, South African music, house music, Afrobeat, not really reggae, but yeah, mostly Afrobeat and Amapiano music in the channel, and just serve that and try to uplift the artists that way, build a platform and enjoy the process, man.
So there's 2 parts, right? There's the whole, that journey that you've gone on of finding different opportunities and trying different things and navigating through, I guess, your different interests in the genres, and moving in a way until you finally landed on one thing. So there's that work behind it, but then there's also that strike of luck.
Well, it came back to the same thing when I was filming the Kendrick Lamar concerts. I have a skill in cameras. So if I film someone that's talented, that's just a winning combo, right?
Yeah.
Same with the music video. I took the idea from, which is, you know what it's like. You take inspiration. Like, I would look at this podcast and be like, man, I got to rethink like how I set things up slightly, you know, because I take inspiration from you and like wow, the cool borders, like they're so sweet. Like,
I've taken that from someone else as well.
Yeah. So I took that from the music video, the Cat Daddy, and then it was 1 million views. I'm filming Kendrick Lamar, and he's an amazing artist, and I'm just framing him correctly and trying to get the right levels. Same with the Rema thing. It was like I was there with the cameras. Everyone else had camera phones. Everyone else had cameras. Media was there too. Mm-hmm. And actually, I got to give props to, I forgot the channel's name, man, but one guy found the moment. I didn't realize it was a moment because I was on stage looking at the crowd and just concentrating like on just capturing. So not even thinking, oh, this is a sick moment. Like I was just doing my job and consequently captured a beautiful moment. I saw someone put a clip up and it was just going nuts. This guy got like 3 million views from this moment. And I'm like, actually, I've got the reverse angle of this. Yeah, so I got the reverse angle. I'm putting this up, and it just went nuts. And then I made like 50 different versions of that, and I still don't put out that clip now, but I still cycle through content from that concert, and it performs.
Is there pressure to try to meet a particular standard because you're close to 1.5 million subscribers, and you're getting major views on your videos? Is there a pressure to try to maintain that standard and to keep that momentum going?
Yeah. There's a pressure to not put out crap. You know, that's like everyone. I think we all have that pressure. Like, you don't want to put something out that you're not really proud of. But there's also a pressure to constantly put content out and constantly feed the beast in a sense. But I found out ways to do that. I have workflows that I can balance everything. I can do it, and I've been doing it. And I had to make that decision and go, it's like, do I get up every morning at 6 a.m. and do stretching? Well, I just have to do it now.
Yeah. I get you.
Yeah, and it's beautiful because when I see, like if I go film a local DJ, and I put it up and it gets 30,000 views, I'm like, that's awesome.
Yeah.
That's a local person. That person's not even really famous or anything, and they're getting like comments and views and some recognition. So I have a platform. I put up an interview clip of like an artist that's local from Melbourne, and he gets like 500,000 views on Instagram and like 1.2 million on TikTok, and I'm like, cool. This guy just got some people watching him. So there's a bit of purpose behind it. So I feel like the pressure. I have pressure, but I also have purpose.
You need to have that, and I think that there has to be an underlying purpose other than trying to get the clicks and get the likes. Earlier on, you were saying that how you seek the validation through, I guess, the accomplishments becomes validated when it's being received positively by the community that you're trying to feed. I've always had this battle with trying to figure out what validation looks like in the work that you do, and is that...
There are signs, man. Like, I've walked into rooms and I'm not, like, people looked, they're like, this guy, he's got 1 million subscribers, you know, like, kind of vibe. For a time being, everyone realized, like, he cracked it. He did it. And I'm like, yeah, I did it, man. Like, this is hectic. This is not easy. And that's like some sort of validation, but that's, to me, I was like, it's a good feeling. It's a good feeling when people people are like, oh wow, you know, but it doesn't last long because I'm not there for that. I'm there to uplift artists and to get closer to the music.
Yeah. Like, would you be continuing to do what it is that you're doing without those metrics?
If I had like 100,000 subscribers, sure. If I had 50, sure. If I only had like 12 by now, I'd be having to like reconsider like what I'm doing. Like if like 10,000 subscribers over 10 years, it's like, cool. Yeah, it's more like a hobby, hey. Now I feel like I've got a serious role and responsibility in the music world to bring light to the scene.
So Instagram and YouTube have provided platforms for creatives to create work and share it, and it's basically it's a necessity. It is a necessary evil in the process of creating, having to share and to create.
It feels like that when you don't have the views and the subscribers. It feels like it could be an evil or a it's like a battle. But now I feel like, like Neo in the Matrix. It's like I see the code on the walls, man.
Okay.
In a sense, I don't know everything, but I know a lot that maybe most people don't. And I would like to create a course about that and uplift people 100%.
Well, so that's the thing, right? Because for you now that the inspiration and the motivations have shifted a bit, because for someone who is starting off and someone who is just beginning, that it's hard for them to try to crack and to understand what needs to be done. So my understanding is that always just come back to the root cause, because if you're trying to create work to seek that kind of external validation and to get the likes, then
it's so annoying, man. I swear. I was getting at one point it was like 100 comments like a second or something. It was just ridiculous. It was like refresh, and it was too many. It was like too many, and you can't. I don't even know who the audience is. I'm like, is my audience just people that love? It was that one Rema moment got me a lot of my audience. It's not the majority, but a lot of it.
Yeah.
And that a lot of channels happen like that. They have like one main video that goes super viral, then maybe like others that are 70%, and it can fluctuate. But yeah, like it was too much, man.
That's one of the things.
I actually wanted it to slow down.
When you're dealing with these,
to finish off that, just because I'm just sort of, it's almost like if like a bunch of people came up to you and just started asking you all these questions all at once. You'd rather have like one person, then two and three, then build up the ability to speak to the crowd and learn skills to actually present to a larger audience, or even know who they are. Like I didn't know who all these people are, and they're just suddenly here.
Yeah, that's an interesting position to be in, because when you're creating things early on, that you have this particular agenda, I suppose, and the agenda could just be creating for the sake of creating, and then now you have an audience. Does that agenda shift towards not necessarily creating for the sake of creating, but creating to cater them?
Yeah, man, for sure. And the cool thing is hopefully most of them just love the music that I also think is beautiful. Yeah.
And if they don't, what happens?
They just don't watch the clips, and I'm like, whatever.
Okay.
I don't really mind. Like I put videos out and they just don't even perform well at all, and I'm like, yeah, whatever. Like it doesn't matter to me, Like we're gonna launch another podcast. I've got a guest, because I like to actually create a podcast for someone else too. I'm doing interviews myself with these artists, and that's not really what I do, but I'm like, at the time I like to talk to people, talk to artists and ask them some funny questions, or just chat and put it out there. And they don't really perform like crazy, because that's not what people are there for the channel.
Yeah.
I also I'm going to produce other people's, I've done it before, like put other people's podcasts on the channel and platform them and go, because it's monetized, there's an option, an ability for it to be a commercial success in terms of their show. It's like, you've already got a podcast, a general community that, and whenever I put a video up, we're getting like thousands of impressions automatically. That's the beauty of having the subscribers. You get a better pick. You get more lottery tickets, as per se. Yeah. So I'm excited about like producing shows for people, almost like a television network in a sense. So that's what it is. That's what I do. I film people, man. I DJ. I play music for the crowd. And when I see people dancing and laughing and happy, and when I film people and they're happy, like going back to when I was filming my family and stuff, I'm like, this is cool. This memory, I can show them later.
Yeah. I guess like through the platform that you've created and having that moment or a couple of moments that have just set you on this trajectory, and now you've got all these people that are waiting for the next video or the next thing, right? Whatever it may be. And if you're not putting something out there that they necessarily are looking for, then you're also exposing them to new things as well. Because if they're here to hear like an Afrobeats concert, or like an pick your artist, I'm not familiar, but yeah, if they are here to look out for the next concert, but what they're getting is a slice of an artist that you're sitting down and having a chat with, it's giving them the opportunity to be exposed to new things. I don't know. You tell me.
But it's tricky because like, I'll just push back on that because then the algorithm's like, oh, most of the people are not really resonating with this. We're not going to push it forward.
That's what I was going to ask. What I was going to ask. Whether or not it becomes tricky to maneuver in that space, because when you have a platform like that, do you find that there's a tendency to have to cater to that platform? Yeah,
but I don't put my value in the views even till now.
But if you don't, then
I'll ruin the algorithm for my channel. Let's make another channel.
Yeah,
like
okay.
I'm not like it's like a Neo, man. It's like I'm not scared of the Matrix, man. I see the code. You know what I mean? Like I could start again. It's fine. Like it'd be kind of weird. I obviously want to keep million subscriber channel. Ooh, cool. But really, it doesn't really mean much. Like it's more about, like, as I said before, seeing a local artist get 10,000 views on their DJ mix. I'm like, hey, this is sick, you know? Or or like color grading like a bit of the concert or something and like putting that up. And I feel like I should, you know, take a bit more serious. Like, oh, we've got the channel that's really honing on the niche. That's what I did. That's why I changed to Afro beats, because I thought most of the people are into Afro beats. I also enjoy Afro beats. I've been playing Afro beat songs through my whole DJ career, and it's positive music. Yeah. Mostly, it's mostly about love, struggle, love, and party.
Yeah.
Same as the Amapiano. So it's from South Africa. It's like from the struggle.
So where's your audience? You would have looked at the data. Where's your audience predominantly?
It was worldwide, bro.
Yeah.
It was like everywhere. Yeah, like it was like 5% from everywhere. And then it goes like 15 to USA for a month or something, which 15% of 1 million views a day is 150,000 views, you know, to USA. And then Nigeria was like 8-9%. And then now South Africa will go up to 23. And then India went up to 40 at one stage with the Rema thing. It went crazy in India. He did a whole India tour from that reel.
Cool. Wow.
From that moment. Sorry, not the one reel, but from the moment. It's been worldwide, the channel. It still kind of is. It's very strange. Even in Australia, it's about 10% going on now. It is still very much like I'm pruning, but I'm trying to find the audience. But at the same time, I just know that if I put out music content, there's Afrobeat, Amapiano, mostly African-based style, and it's a bit of the culture too, but it's mostly the music, and I love that music, and I play it when I'm in the car by myself. So if I play music in the car by myself and groove or dance to it myself, and it's me, then, and I'm putting that content on my YouTube channel, if someone resonates or not, it is what it is.
Yeah, you're just in service to the music.
You've
got this platform.
It's awesome, man. I'm so happy. I'm so happy that I'm, like, some days I just go, yes, I can just fucking record some music and just put it up.
And people love it.
Well, whatever.
Or whatever.
But I think I know how to choose a good song or whatever. I did a DJ mix last night in the studio, and it wasn't the best mix, but I'm like, it's kind of better than the last one. I'll just put it up. Might get 2,000 views, but damn, like, the songs are jamming.
Yeah.
So I'm loving it, man.
So with being able to, like, still maintain that's got to be the key, right? Like, just the whole whatever the numbers are irrelevant. You may as well just switch them off.
Yeah. I mean, if I was getting like 10 views, bro, that would be something bullshit. Like, I'll be like, ooh. Even if I get less than 1,000 now, I'm like, it's probably not very good. Like, there's something wrong with this content. Like, you know, there's something.
Is it the content? Would you say it's the content, or would it be the algorithms?
Nah, it's the way it's presented. Like, the first 30 seconds were just not that engaging, and they're just swiping through. It could be the thumbnails a bit off. all these little intricacies.
Yeah, so then that's what it brings me back to, like how much of our work needs to be curated for the algorithms. Because when you say the first 30 seconds, but what if you intentionally didn't want the first 30 seconds to pop?
I think you owe it to the people, because it's like they're flicking through the TV channels, and that's why I don't know how television did it, because you would flick through the channels all the time, wouldn't you?
Our attention spans are different there these days, man. And this is where I sit with the short form content is
like an advertisement. That's what they are. 30-second advertisements.
Yeah.
Like you can't just make an ad and be like, well, you know, you got to be like impactful in some way. So you make an ad for the content you're showing now.
Right. So you've got your long form and you've got your short
which
form.
I don't do. Like I just don't. It's not. I don't mind not getting views, which I probably should. I should probably. I'm telling you, man, we've got so many subscribers. It's ridiculous. It came so quick that we get 1,000 a day, like standard, right? That I should now, like spend more time on
paying attention to it.
Yeah, pretty much, like putting that first 30 seconds together. Yeah, so I've got a lot to learn, man. But the good thing is with the algorithm and it rolls through. But everyone should do that. Like with this, you know, you can use AI programs to find scrape moments that AI think are important, and not like you use them all, but they might be quite good, and then just drag them in and just compile them up.
I'm wary of that because AI. So I'm wary of using AI for much of my work because I think it kills a lot of the discovery in the process.
Yeah.
I create, so when I sit down and I speak with guests, I'm being inquisitive to things that I find important to me. The reels that I share are things that I find important. So looking at the information that I share, I try to summarize it down to, I have an audience of one, and that's me, right? So what is it? So I look at the me of yesterday, the me of a year ago, 10 years ago. What information am I learning here that's going to help that person? And that's what gets shared. The fact that it picks up, the algorithms pick it up, it is completely irrelevant.
I'm taking some great points from you because I need to learn how to, you know, like simplify and prune. We're doing the pruning these days, right?
Mm-hmm.
But I would say that the AI, just like we were talking about a couple of hours ago now, about how it can kind of just find a little bit more there that you may have not picked up on. There might be moments there that get 100 views or whatever. That this is my mentality. That
I want to hear this as well because I need to. Like the conversation, like having you sit across from me and someone that has built up a YouTube channel, your lens on how things should be operated is very different to mine.
It is.
So,
and it's a different kind of channel, but at the same time, I do interviews as well. I do, like I've got TikTok videos of me talking to a guy called Harmonize, but I didn't release the whole interview because I was like, I'm just kind of like, I feel like I'm not really, like I'm a bit self-conscious about how I was.
Yeah.
But then I decided to throw it into AI and chop up all the bits and just scatter it and just put it on the internet. Because the bits are the bits, right? Even if I look silly or whoever looks silly it's only like 30 seconds. It's like, it's not. Maybe I'll release a whole interview. Who knows? My point being is that the AI chops it up and does the captions and does the little switches and does all this like stuff that's a lot of time, as you know.
Yeah.
I don't have much time to do all those kinds of things, right? And get nuanced on like one beautiful piece of art, which is sad, but I'll get to that point. I'll get back to that. But essentially it's put out like 20 clips and some of them have like over 300,000 views and like 1,000 comments on it. And they're talking about something that's not even really related too much to. They're talking about how good his English is. All the African like people from his from Tanzania are like saying he's like really good at English, and that's the viral part of it. And But then the consequence is what he's talking about is when he was growing up, he used to play football, and he used to play football all the time and get his mind off things. And then from there, he decided to take that energy and move it into the studio. And then he became a famous singer. So from this like funny viral moment where he's like, English is a little bit broken and stuff, and everyone's commenting on it, not like in a way like he's an idiot, like saying he's actually quite good compared to another successful Tanzanian artist, Diamond Platnumz, which they have a beef with. So there's all these little complexities that are going on, right, that I have no idea about. That AI has chosen, and it's gone to the algorithm and got hundreds of thousands of views, gotten me some followers that are into the Afrobeat music, and got him probably some more streams for his music, had a bit of a laugh along the way. That's what AI did, man.
Yeah.
So that's my kind of thing at the moment. I'm like, we record the media. We make sure it's like, okay, it's a great artist. We've got a good setting. The lighting's good. Everything's good. And let the AI sort it out, right? And then let the algorithms sort it. So it's like a mass production. Right. And then everything gets disseminated how it needs to be. Let me film and do my art, and let computers organize it for me and put it out there.
Okay, I like
Not
that
a music video though, of course. Like a music video is like a one piece. It's very connected. But if we're talking about interviews, long form content, interviews and concerts and live music performances, yeah, man, like let it be.
Yeah, okay. So there is that separation, and that's where you're not necessarily letting the AI and the algorithms dictate the work in itself, but it's just there to facilitate the dispersion of it.
Yeah, the distribution. It's like instead of having a distributor, you just have AI to do that, and then you have scheduling apps. Like my story right now is just like constantly putting stuff. Like I'm dropping like 10 to 12 videos a day. My goal was with this stuff is to at least have one person watching my content at all times, and now it's like thousands of people at all times.
Yeah, we've spoken about so much stuff.
I love it, man. It's great. Like I haven't had this opportunity to do that. I've had a couple of opportunities, but it was probably a few years ago, and I wasn't quite clear on my mission and vision as much as I am now. I'll probably, when I'm 45, be like, fucking talking shit, you know what I mean?
Talking shit. We're only always ever talking shit. I think that what happens is that.
No, well, let me just say, I feel I actually feel very confident in my values now. I feel like looking back in 10 years' time, I'm going to be like, I still agree, but maybe the way I communicate or present could be improved or something,
I'll be looking, I guess, like if this is going to be continuing in 5 or 10 years' time, I'll be looking back at the episodes like, oh my God, dude. Actually, I do that now, man. Like I've gone back and checked out the first earlier episodes. Like, you don't know what you're doing, dude. And like, I still don't feel like I know what I'm doing. I feel more confident behind the mic, but I can look back at the other episodes and I can even just put myself in that place when I was running, having those conversations. And I remember thinking the thoughts that I was thinking at the time, like, oh my God, you're scrambling. It was just, like...
It's good you got the episode still up, yeah?
Oh, I don't take anything down. I'm not going to take anything down.
Yeah, you understand the importance of what you're doing. Like, it's just important to just kind of like... But you've set a framework up where you're doing this when you're not like 20 and wild, but you're a bit more mature, and you've got a beautiful set. You've considered all the microphones and the audio, and you've probably done some tests, I assume.
Some,
but
I don't know what I'm looking for.
But yeah, like you've taken some care in it, and you've curated it, so you can't really go too wrong. And like me now, I'm kind of me.
Yeah, to that point, things are going wrong all the time, but it's not a problem, right?
Yeah,
like, you only know as much as you know, and like. I've started this podcast. I started this when I was 39. And I think that I needed the years of the bullshit to get to this point. It would be a different tone, a different set of conversations with different people if this was set up years ago. This is coming from more of a place of curiosity and a place of wanting to learn and develop and grow. So when things go wrong, which they inevitably do, it's not a problem. And that's kind of how I see things evolving and moving along. And so when I see how this is operating versus the trajectory of your platform, is that I don't necessarily think that there will ever be a moment that I have like a boof, where
Yes, there will, bro.
not to that, not to that extent. No,
you
no,
bring
I'm
on
not,
like a big guest algorithm, boom,
Maybe,
and
maybe.
you might get what I got. It gets too big, and you're like crazy. But then you'll always come back to the local guests, I assume. You know, like so. It is what it is, man. That's how podcasts work. It's the same as my channel. If I film a famous person, like generally speaking, or someone who's already got a following, a search algorithm will pick it up, man. So yeah, just book a couple of big dogs, man.
It's look, man. I'm the intention is to for things to have a steady yet exponential growth.
Sure.
Like I believe that I want to get to a point where when things do,
I like that, man. A lot of people do reverse. They're like, look at all these big guests.
That was the question I wanted to get to, and that's the conversation I wanted to have with you is that, you know, when my prerogative is to have this slow and steady climb and things are slowly going exponential. So by the time I get to a place where I am clocking up those big views and the big numbers, I have the confidence to know what to do at that moment, because the last thing I want is to have an audience and a platform that is sizable and I'm not at the point where I'm ready to service that, right? Like I want to be ready to step up to that place. Like if I was to all of a sudden give me 1 million views, 1 million subscribers right now, I wouldn't know what to do with it. I mean, I can just
You
create
learn
the
quick,
same
bro.
content.
It's like, you know, getting water thrown in your face in the morning. You're still gonna wake up, man. And you either accept it or you just try to go back to bed. But you're wet, so you better get up and just get ready, man.
Just get ready. Where can people find your work?
Depends what you're after. You're after
Yes, that's
planes,
right.
musicians, tips on photography. Damn.
Just get into TMC Media. And
Yeah.
then you search that up and you'll get all the hits.
Yeah, you can search that up because it comes up with a few different things. Yeah, TMC Media, pretty much. Yeah, just search that, whatever, you know. But yeah, we're working on essentially offers for all of these different platforms.
Mm-hmm.
So what's the offer for the Afro Sounds? It's not monetary necessarily. It could be just like, join our community here, or here's some people that can help you as an artist, or some references or some resources possibly. But yeah, essentially when people search you up, they can go or search up the sound, the TMC's version of that, or TMC's foundation and platform and system can help you. Yeah. So yeah. Just don't type in TMC because it comes up with some like Indian political campaign, and
That's what I found.
and they're going hard on their hashtags, man. I can't take that. Far out, bro. So yeah, TMC Media, man.
Yeah. Dude. Hey, thanks for coming along, man. This has been a fun chat. Dude.
Thanks, my G. Appreciate you, man. Yeah.